This will be fun. Sit. Yeah, YouTube live. There we go. Direction YouTube. Now get to mute it. Gonna have a fun time at the OSEE tonight. See what we got going on there. 1, 2, all the good things. So now I'll go back over here. Start sharing my screen. And then go back over to where all the good things are. And all the good people are. It's 5 till. So we'll let some folks in. So what Francis and Melissa and Jim are up to. Hello, happy Thursday. Fellow humans, thank you for being on time. It's always nice when punctual people show up. We'll get started right at the top of the hour. Melissa, you going to be somewhere stationary before then? We do these 6 times a week and would love to have you come back, but I don't want to be responsible for you running off the road when you get so excited about raising funds and solar. So what's your prognosis?
I should be home in maybe 5 to 10 minutes.
Well, if you're home by the time introductions are over with, we'll just roll with it. But in the meantime, please don't pay us any attention at all and drive safely.
I have you on my my little dash here, so don't worry.
Oh, cool. Are you in a Tesla?
No, I wish. No.
It's like, oh, cool. So as long as you feel like you're safe, then you're welcome to be here. But we don't make very many rules. We try to make this the easiest fundraiser ever. And when they are rules, it's just to protect the people we care about. And, you know, we really like what we do. We enjoy having an opportunity to give money away to good causes and talk to people about something that we really enjoy, you know. So if we start having people running off the road, then we won't get to do it anymore. So don't pay us any mind at all. Whenever you get stationary, let us know and we'll have a good time together. But thank you, Melissa. Who else is on here? I know that we've already gotten. We'll do some introductions here in a second. We got 3 minutes until we get started. We stream all these on YouTube because we see it as like an ongoing conversation, and also make sure that everybody, you know, we believe in transparency. So if an organization is like, well, wait a second, this person said they came, where are they? We're like, well, here's the recording. Do you see them? And they're like, well, what did you tell my supporter? And it's like, well, it's here, it's recorded. And so that's why we do it. Like we feel very blessed to have the opportunity to work with churches and schools and nonprofits and good-hearted people like y'all who are willing to take a few minutes out of your beautiful Thursday evening to meet a stranger, to raise funds for something you care about or somebody you care about. And that's really cool. And we're just grateful to have you. And we don't want to do anything to jeopardize that. So that's why we ask you to be still and just say hi to make sure you're a real person so that we can just kind of keep this crazy thing going. It's been fun so far to meet folks from all over. Looking forward to hearing about y'all and giving you a chance to introduce yourself in a couple of minutes. We will get started at the very top of the hour. We know that if you're punctual, it means that you have a high respect for other people's times, Either that or you just got lucky. Somebody told me the other day that it was the first time she'd ever been on time to anything. So this might be the first time y'all have ever been on time, but we're glad you're here. And we got 1 more minute. And I think people are so sick of Zooming and they're so grateful for the beautiful weather. I think we've had our lowest percentage attendance week so far at these things, but y'all made it. And we're glad to have you. And in 1 minute, we will get started. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. Can y'all see a dude that looks like me, but maybe a little too serious, and then some dinosaur type creatures, and a little dude with the bow tie, and then a cute little guy with a puppy dog? That's Luke. He's here tonight. Looks like he's in San Francisco tonight with his background on. And then we've got our strong lady teammate, Holly Myers. She's a fitness trainer and also one of our teammates. And this is all it is. So when you're meeting Ovanova, you know, we like to have a name just because the sun comes up over and over again. And good causes are always looking to raise funds over and over again. but it's really just a small team of folks who really care about doing as good of a job as we can at supporting the things you care about and give you a friendly way to explore the benefits of solar energy. And it always starts with humans. And so that's why we made the fundraiser as easy as we did. In order to raise funds, you just have to be sitting still, Melissa. Turn on your camera, introduce yourself, be a homeowner, and then share one thing about why you think more folks aren't using solar already. But we'll get started. It's 6 o'clock. So just who you are, where you are, the organization you came to support, and then this is a cheat sheet from last night. Here's what the folks said last night. Looked into it. People just didn't know upfront cost, that kind of stuff. But this is your time, and we're glad to have you. Who would like to go first?
I'll go first. Can you hear me, Jim?
Yes, sir. Are you Jim?
Can you hear me? I'm not sure. I don't use Zoom very much, so.
We can hear you.
Okay, yeah. I'm Jim Kaysen. I live in Coral Gables, Florida, and my son asked me to help support his Somerset Academy bake case, so that's what I'm doing right now.
Do you know what they're doing with that money they're raising?
I think they're going to do playground equipment or something like that.
Yeah, but it's like super awesome playground equipment. It's like every type of sport.
It's a very nice school, and so even though I'm 76, I'm the grandfather.
Well, Jim, thank you for hopping on. So you've been around long enough to see a lot of stuff change in solar. Why do you think more folks currently aren't using it?
Excuse me, I can't hear you.
Why do you think more folks aren't currently using solar energy already?
Well, a lot of people in my area are. One of the problems is, at least in my city, which is Coral Gables, most of the houses have barrel tiles, and they do not allow solar panels on barrel tiles, so only on flat roofs, and there aren't many of those. So the problem really is a lot of people believe in solar, want solar, but you need to come up with a technological solution that allows barrel tiles to be the tile that produces the electricity.
That'd be a big time. In the meantime, we just have camouflage. So if you have barrel tiles, you can just trick them into thinking. But yeah, absolutely, having some tiles that are directly useful for energy would be good.
And in fact, our city has basically removed permitting fees and standardized permitting for tiles. So we're a very green city. I used to be the mayor of the city, and we really support solar. And a lot of people that have the right type of roofing have put solar on.
Wow.
And we're also a city that's filled with trees, trees everywhere. So that causes a lot of shade on the south side.
Well, thanks. You were the mayor of Coral Gables, so
yes.
Thank you for hopping on. I was wondering how you were so sharp. You must have been around a lot of people your whole life. You said you were 76, and most people are slowing down by then. But you didn't say it like I'm 76 and I can't do anything good for humans. So thank you for showing up to support your grandchild, and feel free to contribute at any point. If you hear me say anything that's incorrect, I'd love to be cleared up on it. But Jim, thanks for being here. Who would you like to hear from next?
This is Angelo from Miami, Florida. I'm supporting one of my friends' kids from Somerset Academy Bay as well.
Awesome, Angelo. You mind turning on your camera real quick so we can see you?
Oh, okay. Sure. Hold on for a second.
There you go.
I'm in my car.
Oh,
see me?
You're cheating. Do you think you'll be able to make it home like in the next 2 or 3 minutes? Because we really don't want people running off the road. We do these 6 times a week, so that it's easy for you to come back if you need to.
Yeah, I'll pull on the side in a second.
Okay, cool, brother. I'm just
Hold on a sec.
grateful for you showing up to support your kids, Fred. And don't want this to be the last time you get to support somebody, because you get really excited. So we got 2 more people that just popped in the waiting room. We'll let them in. They're not that late. All right. So Angelo, we'll get back. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Where are you from?
Can you see me?
Yes, sir. You're from Miami.
Yeah, from Miami. Yep.
And why do you think more folks aren't using solar already?
I think the aesthetics of it, at least in my case, I wasn't too sure how it would look. I do have a flat roof, but I don't know how it would look coming from the street, driving, being able to see some raised panels on my roof. It may take away from the curb appeal.
It may. Thank you for sharing that. We could talk about that. We'll talk about all of it. You know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And in some places where they value the clean energy over blowing up mountains, it has greater curb appeal. But these are the easiest way to make those type of assessments is ones that do for resale. And you feel free to Google this, Angela. Your home will sell faster and for more money if it has solar on it. So even though whatever it loses in aesthetics, it makes up for in whatever it is people actually value. But I didn't come here to tell you that you needed to buy something you thought was ugly. You're already buying electricity. This is just a fun conversation about how it can come from the sunshine, and we're glad you joined us. Thank you for supporting SoBe. Who would you like to hear from next?
Hi, I'm Fran Wild.
Hey, Fran.
How are you?
Doing well. Are you in Miami too, Fran?
Yes, I am. I'm supporting my granddaughter, Lisa Chauvel, at
Somerset Bay.
Somerset Bay Academy.
We love SoBe. Thank you for showing up tonight. Why do you think more folks aren't using solar already, Fran?
I don't know. My in-laws are using it, or they love it. But our house, we have tile roof, so for us to get the tiles off, it's an expensive proposition. So I don't think we'll be doing something like that for ourselves.
Well, you know the mayor or a former mayor that might have some sway might be able to get some regulations changed in the town, so people could actually access the roof space.
He lives in Coral Gables. I live in South Miami area, so no, I don't think. He can maybe do it. Never know.
Well, my son put solar on his house and he loves it, but he lives in South Miami as well, so it's permitted there.
I'm glad to know that. So yeah, you can do whatever you want to, friend. We're just glad you're here. We're going to get $50 because you showed up. Thank you for introducing yourself. Who do we have left?
Probably me, because I was a minute late. This is Elena Orovio. How are you?
I'm doing well, Elena. Hi, thanks for being here.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
So all we're saying is who we are, what you introduced yourself, where you live, who you came to support, and then why you think more folks aren't using solar already, or why you're not, if you don't want to speak for other people.
Okay, well, I'm here supporting my two kids that go to SoBe, and I live in South Miami. And I think it's the perception that it is too expensive. I think that's probably the biggest barrier to looking into it more seriously.
Well, Fran and Jim, y'all said that y'all had in-laws or direct relatives who have chosen to use solar. Have y'all heard that it was really expensive, or have you heard the opposite of that? Thank you, Elena, for sharing that.
No problem.
Well, one of the problems from my perspective, being almost a senior citizen, is that the amortization period is, I won't be around when I start making some money. So it's whoever ends up getting the house after me, I'll let them work with it. But for my son, who's only in his 40s, it makes eminent sense. He's going to save money. And he did the calculations, and his whole house is solar, and he loves it. And he got a good deal, and he got the tax break, and it was allowed in South Miami, and he had the right facing to the south, and he wasn't worried about the aesthetics because you really couldn't see it from where it is. So for him, it makes sense. But I think if you're in your late 70s, and you look at the money that you put into it and how much the stock market is 10 or 12% a year if you invest right, you make more money by putting your money in the stock market than on what you would save on electricity.
Yeah. A lot of people say that, and I can see where that would come from. You're just looking at like a simple ROI type formula, like if I'm getting 10 to 12% a year type thing. So I'm glad you brought all that stuff up. I might get to show a slide tonight. I never get to slide. A show called an ROI slide about the benefits of solar energy, but you're correct. And I'm not here to argue with anybody. I'm just here to share some facts. Who else do we have? It looks like a car finally stopped. Somebody we've been picking on might be able to introduce herself now.
So my name is Madeline Rizzo.
Hi, Madeline. Did I spell your name right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm actually here to support my two kids, which is go to SoBe as well.
And why do you think folks aren't using solar?
I was thinking of the same thing the previous caller said, the startup cost, which might be a little too high.
Is that what you've heard? Like it makes sense long term, like what Jim was talking about. If you're young,
Correct.
but you have to put a lot of money into it to get started.
Initially.
Yeah. That's a very commonly held belief. It used to be like that. And solar did used to be very expensive. Like when I was born in 1977, it cost $76 to produce the amount of electricity we can produce with a quarter of solar equipment now, like 25 cents. So if you've heard solar was really expensive or it was true, it's not somebody lied to you. It's just outdated information. It used to be true. Startup costs now, Madeline, if you want them to be, are zero. If you have a 680 credit score, you don't have to even put a down payment down on your solar panels. You can just get them put on your house. And I'll show you how that works in a second. But thank you for sharing that. I think there's a lot of people that have that same question that would love to learn. And then we have a car driver that's stationary now. And then is there anybody else that we're missing?
Hi, I'm Kelly O'Connor.
Hi, Kelly.
My son goes to Sobe as well, Somerset Academy Bay.
So Kelly with a Y or EY or an I or an IE, how do you spell your name?
With a Y.
Okay. I put Bobe instead of Sobe. So Bobe is like, that would be a fun little brother school to Sobe. What do you think more folks aren't using solar, Kelly?
I would say the expense, like it seems like it's pretty costly. So that would be my reason. Maybe also too, maybe the amount of panels that you would need to maybe power your entire house type of thing.
Oh, like, so maybe there's not enough space, or maybe it would be too many and you wouldn't want them on your house.
No, not that you wouldn't want them on your house. To us, it wouldn't be about how it looks, but more so like how many panels you would need to actually run your entire house.
Oh, like figuring that out. Like how many panels? Yeah. You had a chance to check your email today?
Yes, yes. But not like I didn't really read it, honestly. The whole thing.
we don't expect you to, like, to tell you the truth, we don't expect people to even open it. So if you even saw that it existed, you've made it further than most. But I bring it up because the answer to how many panels you need, we already figured that out for you.
Oh, okay.
It's in your email, and it's based on the amount of energy you said you needed to use.
Mm-hmm.
So Kelly, thank you for being here to support Sobe. Is there anything else you want to talk about while you got the floor?
No.
There's another factor too, is that as your chart showed how the costs were going down, I think a lot of people think maybe they'll go down even more. And if they wait, it'll be cheaper, and maybe they'll find some that aren't made in China, which is,
and they
I think a lot of people would like to buy American, and unfortunately China's got the market now, but I think that could affect the thinking of some people, in addition to all the other things that people mentioned.
That makes sense. There's a couple, like, you look at like what flat screen televisions have done, right? And they've gotten so inexpensive compared to just like 15 years ago. We're used to technology getting less expensive, and it will, no question. But right now, the biggest thing holding solar back is that people don't know about it, or they're hearing about it in a way that makes it very expensive to transition. And so the soft cost of solar, if you have to pay salespeople to come knock on doors or run television commercials or have big sales contests to motivate people, like that adds a lot of expense. And that's why we're just feel really grateful, Jim, to work with places like Sobe, because y'all make this possible by being good people and showing up to support a good cause, but also saves you a lot of money. And so hopefully you'll see that when trust is high, the cost of doing business is low. And tomorrow we'll send you something that shows even more of that. I haven't gotten to the slides yet, but for showing everybody who shows up gets that free design that we made that Jim is talking about. And one that our friend Kelly hasn't looked at yet. And then tomorrow, for all the people who actually show up, I forgot to open this up. I was like, I think I'm missing a tab, and I was. We'll send you this as well. So just for being here.
Sorry, I excuse me, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but just, I don't know if you needed my name. Tamara, from also supporting my kids from Sobe.
Tamara, what do you think folks aren't using solar?
I think it's a lack of information, at least for me. I don't know. Most people will go to it's expensive. But I think, do I have to change my roof first? How would it affect if I have a leak? If I have any damage to the roof, do I have to redo the whole thing? To me, it's just communication. Like information. Sorry, I don't have any. And the first thing that comes to mind is that it's expensive.
Cool. Well, thank you for sharing that. So we're gonna. Is it Tamara or Tamara?
Tamara.
Tamara. I'll
Hey,
get to this in just a second. So who else are we missing?
Sorry. Hi, this is Morgan Hartsock, and I'm calling to support my little cousin that goes to Sobe.
Cool. You mind turning on your camera real quick?
Sure.
We'd like to see everybody's faces. We're creating y'all are YouTube stars tonight. Thank you for showing up on time. So Morgan, your camera's, you have an interesting shape you've taken. You look like a black
I know.
rectangle, but
It's saying I need to go into my settings here, so it may take me a moment.
okay. Whenever you get a chance, get in there. But tell us why people aren't using solar while you're here.
I think I'm going to be echoing a lot of what people have said already, but yeah, really just a perception that it's cost prohibitive, and yeah, I think just a lack of information on what the costs are and how to even get started if they were interested.
I think you're right.
Lester, there's something that's been used in Miami and a couple other counties recently called the PACE program, which is a financing vehicle where you can put the cost of energy upgrades and anything to do with sort of making your house hurricane proof onto your house as a lien, pay it out over, it stays with the house, whoever buys a house. And it's one of the ways that they've cut down initial cost. Our city was one of the first ones to join it, and it's just spread now to all up and down the 4 counties here. And that's a way to address that question of the upfront cost.
Yeah, White Green's a lot like, is White Green one of the organizations that offers that type of PACE financing? People ask about it a lot.
Yeah, I only know about the PACE one.
I think they're part of PACE. They just have a different name. You know, PACE financing is incredible. It's really a big hit out in California. As long as you have ethical actors selling solar at a fair price, then it's an incredible program. But what Jim's talking about is one of the ways that you can access money to go solar without having to spend anything down or very little down is what does PACE stand for? Property Assessed Clean Energy?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, so it just sticks, you get the money from basically borrowing against your house and it just gets wrapped into your property taxes. So when you sell it, then it just goes to the next person. We have most of the people, Jim, like an even easier thing we found, there's a credit union we work with that can up to a $50,000 loan. They can do like a credit card and it's 4.5%. And there's no early repayment fees and it's 21 years. So a lot of people like that because it's like the loan is long enough that it's basically the same price as your electric bill or less. And we'll talk about that in a second, but keep contributing things like that. Thank you very much. Who else have we not heard from?
The Garcias.
Garcias. Hi, Garcias.
Hello.
Hi, we're in Tampa.
Uh-oh, who'd y'all come to support tonight? Some Victory Tour or Major Sergeant Will Robinson? Or...
Yes, Master
no,
Sergeant.
that guy's a mess. Thank you.
He is a mess.
So
our son is in Air Force Junior ROTC, so we came to support our son and Master Sergeant Will through our son.
Well, we're grateful. Thank you for letting your son be of service. Grateful to raise some funds. I hope y'all have fun at the Air Force Academy with the trip that you're taking. So why do you think folks aren't using solar already, Garcias? What have y'all heard?
What do you think?
Well, pretty much what everyone else has already explained. I think for people who are in their homes, they're looking to sell their homes. I mean, they don't want to probably make that upfront investment, and you're going to have to tag on that price to your home to try to account for that. So you may lose that in just selling your home, you know, so that initial cost might be something they're looking at.
We've been in our home a couple of decades, so we're looking to get out after our son goes to college. So conceivably, so we're not really looking to spend that right now.
And when you say spend that, you're talking about spending all the money it takes to have solar panels put on your house.
Whatever that is, and I'm curious to know what that is.
Yeah, it's zero.
Okay.
If you have a 680 credit score, then it's zero. And I'll show you how that works in just 1 second. But I thought I'd just say it as quickly as I could and as directly as I could, that there's financing available that will allow you to spend $0. But before I start talking about it, I want to make sure we give away the right amount of money that we came to give away first. So Garcias, thank you for coming. I'll show you how it works in just 1 second. I might use y'all as my guinea pigs to make sure that I'm communicating clearly. I'll be like, does that make sense to you? And then who do we have left that we want to recognize? They showed up to support a good cause. I think the driver we've been waiting for forever is finally home. You want to do a quick introduction?
Hi, how are you? The driver, Melissa, has finally gotten home. I stayed in the car for a bit, but I came inside, so you may hear my daughter running around. So my name is Melissa Nunez. We live in West Kendall, in Miami. We are here to support Sobe. I have 2 kids that go to Sobe, which is Joshua and Maddie. And I think the reason for us specifically why we probably haven't looked into solar is originally we had a different roof. We have the metal roofs now. So I don't even know if we can put a solar system on our metal roof.
You can.
Because I don't see anyone with, you can. Okay.
Yeah,
I have not seen them yet. So now you'll be able to educate me on that one.
Yeah, dude. Sometimes you can do it without even penetrating the roof on a metal roof. It's just a special clamp. Really cool. It also shades it because that metal roof gets hot.
Okay.
So, yeah, very cool.
Okay.
And great choice on the metal roof. Who else is on here that we have not recognized yet? Is there anybody else? Well, guys and ladies, if you see the cat and you came for the fundraiser, it means we're done with that. You have done what you needed to do to qualify for the $50 being sent to SOBE or the ROTC program or whatever you came to support. And we just show the cat so you can remember it. The rest of this can last for 5 minutes or it can last for another hour and 38 minutes because that's how much time I have until the next group shows up. It is completely voluntary, but since y'all are here, I'd love to talk to you about some of these things so you can go out and do a better job of educating your neighbors and friends about what's going on. Starting with let's talk about what the Garcia said, since all y'all talked about expensive. Let's make this personal. Instead of talking in hypotheticals, what we did was we took the energy usage you said that you needed to make. So for example, if you said you needed to make $200 worth of electricity per month, we figured out how many solar panels you would need in order to make that much electricity based on what direction they were facing. Most people don't know that which direction your panels face make more of a difference than whether or not you live in San Diego or Buffalo. One panel facing south will make as much energy as almost 1.5 facing north. So if you saw your design and you're like, well, why didn't they use the back of my house? Like, why they put it on the front? Probably something like this. Or could have just been a mistake because we're humans. But that's what we're here to talk you through all that stuff. And then to show you what your numbers are plainly and clearly. So just for being on, everybody here will receive one of these where you'll see what it would cost to go solar with us. Project management, you'll see what project management means down at the bottom with all your project checklist. It'll help you do a do-it-yourself project if you choose to do it if you choose to go solar that way. A lot of people in Miami want to know about hurricanes and batteries. So there's a battery page that we put on there. And all you have to do when you're ready to get in touch with us is just click this at your convenience. We're not going to be beating your door down. We don't send people to your home. We're not going to call you. We might send an email a month from now to be like, hey, you realize another month is going by and you paid an electric bill you're never going to get rid of. So this is the first thing to center us on before we talk about the expense part. If this family's spending $200 a month in electricity, over a year, that's $2,400. Solar panels are guaranteed to work for 25 years. and not just guaranteed to work, but work really well. So over the course of 25 years, this $200 that you don't really notice, why complain about it? It's not like you're not going to pay your electricity bill. It's going to cost $60,000 over the lifetime warranty of your solar system. This person, the solar, after their tax rebate that was brought up by a couple of folks, is $26,000. And if they wanted to pay for that zero down monthly, it would be $164. So this person literally can go from spending $200 a month on a bill that they'll never get rid of to $164 towards paying for equipment they own. They can pay off whenever they want to. The rate stays flat. And they can add value to their home and make it sell faster without spending a dime up front. But instead of being hypothetical, in case you miss your email, Luke, just so you do know what's on the line for you in a worst case scenario, because something else you'll notice in here is this thing called an imperfect information fund. That's just a slush fund. You know, projects go crazy sometimes. Sometimes equipment costs a little bit more or less, but we give this back to you if we don't spend it, and you pay what we pay for the equipment. And we just do this radically transparently so that you can see what you ought to be paying, even if you go solar somewhere else instead of using our service. But Luke, using our service in a zero down loan, how much per month would the people who are on here save?
Yeah, so I'm just going to go down the list here. But so for Francis, it would be monthly $24.76. Jim Kaysen, $15.59. Kelly O'Connor, let's see, that's $62.24. The Rizzo family would be $48.05. And then the Garcias are $13.78. Then Tamara, did you sign up under Tammy by chance?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So yours would be $102 flat monthly. And then Melissa Nunez, if you're still there, it's $35.53.
How do they figure that out?
Yeah, we figured it out by looking at how much money you spend on electricity, figuring out how much it would cost for a solar project to make the same amount of electricity. That's what the 100% is. And then figuring out what the loan would be. You can see all the different loan rates here, but this is a 21-year loan with a 4.5% interest rate. You can probably find cheaper money elsewhere, and we're not in a hurry. You get to do it however you want to do it, but that number we just gave you is a difference between what your solar loan payment would be and what you're currently spending for the same amount of electricity. So that's where that came from. And that's with no projected inflation of your current bills. So that means if FPL never raised prices for the next 25 years, it's your savings today, not in a hypothetical future. And it was using a loan where you pay $0 down. Like, here's an example. Like if you take all the loan interest out of it and you just look at the price of solar, whatever you're going to spend over the next 25 years that you could have made yourself, you'll spend about half that if you go solar. But most people don't have half of 25 years electricity bill just sitting in a savings account. So that's what the loans are for, is they allow you to do it without spending a dime. And then your electricity bill goes away and you use that savings to pay for your new solar payment. And in the case of everybody on here, you'd be saving money from the time your solar panels went up after you got your tax credit. The tax credit is 26% of the entire cost of owning a system, having it installed. So if your panels cost 20 grand, the US government in 2022 will allow you to keep $5,200 to say, instead of sending it to them in taxes, to say, thank you for following Coral Gables' example and caring about being a green, sustainable, producing American citizen. That's good news. And if you want, one thing I was going to show you, this Jim made me think of this earlier. We have all kinds of panels. So if you want some panels that are made in the United States, you can see them. You can see how much they cost. That's no problem at all. But what we found is that what holds people back more than that is just really not understanding simple things like what happens if my electricity goes off at night. But let's look at this first. So barrel tiles, aesthetics, like in-laws love it. Elena, I don't know if you're still here, but does it make sense that not only is it not too expensive, but it actually costs more to not do it now? Was that news to anybody, by the way? That solar actually saves money now for month one? I'm boring the heck out of people. So
I'm not sure.
What'd you say? Luke, you say, yeah, you are. So this is how solar works, y'all. If you're curious about this, actually, you said aesthetics. So let's talk about aesthetics first. A lot of people, when they say aesthetics, think solar panels look like this. They don't know that they look like this now. They're like all black, really pretty. They look more like a skylight on your home. You can put it on any type of roof as long as it's allowed by the city. You can put it on tiles. You can put it on asphalt shingles. You can put it on metal roofs. The only thing that's different is what you use to hook it in. But that's one of the things that we do is that Jim probably seen stuff like this before. This is the information that you need to be able to get a county permit or an authority having jurisdiction permit that goes and traces your design all the way down to how many places it's going to be attached, how many clamps there are, what the rafter size is. And we work with you to find out all that information instead of having to send people out to your house just by taking some pictures and making sure that you're covered if a hurricane comes. You know, a hurricane isn't more likely to blow away your panels than it is to blow away your roof. You can Google hurricanes and solar panels and you'll see pictures of roofs blown off where the panels are still attached to the roof. But if your roof blows off, you don't want to lose your investment. And so we check to make sure you have enough insurance. And some utilities like FPL require you to have a higher coverage depending on what size system you need. But that's all stuff we help you figure out. It's all easy stuff if you know how to do it. And that's why we created our service, just to support good folks, give jobs to local communities. If you've ever heard about those good green jobs, if this Sobey family, who I've anonymized, but this is a Sobey family, decided they actually wanted to go solar, then there'd be $7,800 created for a good green job in their community. That's where it comes from. The money that we have to give you in donations came from people in Texas and Tennessee who chose to use our service to go solar. We've helped people in 14 states. But you don't even have to have it on your house. You can build a pergola if you want to. Those are really cool. They cost more, but if you're going to build a nice yard structure anyway, yeah, that's kind of like weird to see, but those are solar panels. Now, you might want to be careful when you're tanning or you'll look like a waffle. But other than a strange tan line, you can make electricity using solar panels as a roof. We can help you with that. If you have a bunch of land, you might want it out in the yard. They're just different requirements from the jurisdictions that we understand. And that's why we make it easy. But again, the reason most people don't go solar is, one, they think it's expensive when really it's less expensive. And two, they don't know how it works at night. Does anybody on here understand that well enough to explain it to everybody? Or do you have any questions about what we've talked about so far that I should pause and open up some space?
I have a question.
Okay.
This is the Garcias. What if we need to replace the roof? Is it easy to replace with those attached?
It's not easy, no, but it's not hard either. So it really depends on. So I'm going to give you, it's going to sound like I'm giving you a slippery answer, but I'm going to give you a very direct answer. If your roof needs to be replaced soon, then you'd be better off replacing it and doing your solar project together with it, because you can qualify for the zero down financing for your roof as well as the solar. And the portion of your roof that your solar panels are under also qualify for the 26% tax credit. So you can get a tax credit for your roof to go with your solar. If you need it. And once the solar panels are on there, guys, they're awesome because they act like a shield. They protect your roof from elements. So that part of your roof probably won't need to be replaced again. So if you end up replacing it a little bit earlier, when you combine that, it's not that big of a deal. But now let's say that you're talking more like 10 years, your roof needs to be replaced. So the hypothetical one that makes sense is that 10 years from now, a whole lot of people are going to have solar panels. Like you commented on that in your communities, you're starting to see them go up. So there'll be a lot more people who can do the work. But the good news is it's kind of like a Lego set where, you know, it takes a long time to build that whole Lego castle up, but it doesn't take that long to pop the top block off. And so if you think of your solar system as like a Lego set where you've got wires inside the house, you've got all this work that's been done, but the panels are just the top block. It takes like 10 minutes to pop one off and put it back on. And if you want to, I could even show you a video about how it's done so you can see how simple it is, but it would cost you an extra $1,000 to $3,000. And when most people put pen to paper, what they find out is the amount of money they would have lost by continuing to pay a never-ending bill instead of paying down equipment they own and will make their house more valuable if they sell it. It will make it sell faster. Makes it worth not getting the makes it worth investing, even if you have to take it off later. So short answer is it can certainly be done. $1,000 to $3,000, and I can give you a more precise number, more precise number if I do what the size of your system was. We can help you with that, but it's not hard. No, it's like anybody that's going to put your roof on. It's a service they'll have to start offering people before long.
And is that interest rate a fixed rate?
Yep. That loan is 21 years. Mm-hmm. And what's fixed is that price I showed you is fixed for 7 years. And then it can be readjusted based on the current prime mortgage rate. Mm-hmm. It's all very clearly listed. And there's a cap, there's a maximum for what it can be. So before you ever signed up for it, you could see exactly what the most it would be. The reason we like that loan is because there's no early repayment penalties. And when it finally clicks in their mind that they're talking about they could pay off their electricity bill forever, they're like, why am I continuing to make payments on my electricity bill? This just doesn't make any sense. Like if I have money in a savings account, here's the thing that I was talking earlier about. Solar is an investment. Even if you do it 0 down, you still get these benefits. Like your current electricity bill doesn't increase the value of your home. Solar panels do. So if you're planning on selling it, it's like putting new floors in for your home. Regular investments don't eliminate a lifelong monthly payment. Solar panels get rid of your electricity bill. That's why you don't need extra money to buy solar. You just use the money you aren't spending with your electricity company to make your payment. So eliminating a lifelong payment is pretty cool. Kind of like when you bought your mortgage. You took on 30 years of debt, but you eliminated a never-ending debt to your landlord in the form of rent. And then you used your rent money to make your mortgage payment with. Solar is the same way. The only difference is you don't need a down payment. So create multi-$1,000 tax credits. In this example, this is by using $200 worth of electricity a month. Their tax credit's going to be over $9,000 in real money that if it were somewhere else, they don't get that tax credit back. And you have multiple years to claim it if you don't have that much liability. They don't keep your power on after a storm. So let's talk about that. And Garcia, did that answer your question? Did I use too many words, or do you have
No, you did good. You did fine.
You have any more follow-up questions about any of that?
Maybe later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm here. I'm not in a hurry. People know they're welcome to come and go. Fundraiser's been over since we saw the cat. So this is how solar works, y'all. There's that big thing called the sunshine up in the sky. And you got these things called solar panels that turn sunlight into electricity. Pretty cool to turn free sunlight into valuable electricity, but it's direct current. Your house uses alternating current. And so you need this piece called an inverter to switch from DC to AC. There's a good movie about that called The Current Wars with Tesla and Edison, if you ever want to watch it. But for the sake of this presentation, all you need to know is that the sunlight's getting turned into electricity, then it's getting turned into the kind of electricity your house uses, and then your house gets to use it first. So your home gets to use whatever it needs and whatever it doesn't need, because during the day, you're usually making more than you need, and that goes back out to the grid. And then at night or on cloudy days, you get credits for the electricity you've shared with your neighbors that you didn't need. So you can pull it back off when you need it, and you keep track of it using this thing called a bi-directional utility meter. So if you notice that there's a fixed thing here, like even if you go solar and you can make 100% of your own electricity, there's still a monthly fee from FPL or Duke because they still have a meter on your house measuring how much they're paying you. And here's an example from a friend of ours in Texas. He bought $93 worth of electricity at night or on cloudy days when his solar wasn't making enough. Your solar panels do not store electricity. During the daytime, though, he made all that his house needed, and he made an extra $107. So at the end of the month, the utility company owed him $15, but they didn't just send him a check. It's kind of like Venmo account where you get credits. So this month he owed him 15, like the utility company owed him $15, and then they owed him $41, and then they owed him $24. And then he traded all of his credits in February when that ice storm came. And then he only owed them $1.43 instead of thousands of dollars like some people did if they had power at all. And this is a chart that shows how that works. The orange line is when you're making electricity. Your blue line is how much you use each month. You notice air conditioners kick on this time of the year. Heaters kick on this time of the year. But there's a lot more sunlight in the spring and the summer than there is during the winter. So you're making all those credits we were talking about here, like rollover minutes. Garcia, do y'all remember rollover minutes? Like how cell phones, mobile phones used to have rollover minute plans.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that, where you have extra minutes here and then you can swap them in here. So instead of paying a bill, you're just using your leftovers. And depending on who your utility company is, sometimes they'll even pay you for credits you have left over at the end of the year. And we know that information as well. Sometimes like Duke in North Carolina, they won't pay you anything for what you have left over. FPL will pay you avoided costs, which is like wholesale, but they don't want you getting rich being an energy producer. They just want you to be a producer. It's cool to know that you're making the grid stronger by contributing to the production and what you're putting on the lines. Everything's a lot more stable when there's a lot more people producing energy. So thanks again to Coral Gables for being a leader in that. And so here's something that a lot of folks in Miami want to know about is the battery backup because of hurricanes. And I've heard stories of people that have been out of power for like 2 or 3 weeks at a time. And they said, never again. I'm not driving to Georgia to take a shower after the next hurricane. And so all a battery is it's just, you do not need a battery to use solar energy and stay partnered with your utility company. And just because you get a battery doesn't mean that you can deactivate your utility service. You can if you want to. That's a whole different conversation. What most people use their batteries for is that after a storm, if you don't have a battery, even if you have solar, you won't be able to make your own electricity because there's people out working on those lines, putting them up, and we don't want to zap them. Because if you're producing energy, that's not safe for people working on the lines. But if you have a battery, the battery's like, yeah, I get it. There's people out there. We're not going to send any back. We're just going to use it right here at home. And 4 milliseconds after the power goes off, your battery kicks in. And it's just like a generator, except for you don't have to crank it. You don't have to put gas in it. It's quiet. It smells good. But a battery you would use for the exact same purpose as a generator. You'll see that in what we send you tonight or tomorrow on your battery options page. You pay what we pay, so you'll see the different prices, and we can help you figure out what size makes sense for you and explain why we made the choices we did. But you're free to make any choices at all that you would like to make. It's your system, and you can talk to us for 10 hours and then decide not to go solar or go solar somewhere else. And it won't hurt our feelings at all. Our purpose is to add as much value as possible to as many lives as possible, which is why we give money to good causes, have hopefully friendly conversations with people about solar energy, and then make it as inexpensive and as simple as possible to switch. Like the next part for y'all, it's real easy. It's like under an hour to many years because it's on you. You know, one thing that we know is that we're all busy and we mean to do stuff and it sounds good and we just don't get around to taking the next step. But you get your initial design you already have, you get your open book pricing tomorrow. We decided to start doing this way where we show you what we earn and what everybody earns, just so you know there's nothing hidden and you think you know that we didn't leave anything out. We give you a rebate when the job is over if we don't spend all the money we project. And we help you figure out how many panels do you need, because maybe you live here. You know what? And maybe you just cut these trees and you don't want to use this part of the house over here, but you would like to put some on this side. Or maybe you just want to brag to everybody about having solar. So even though it's going to cost you 50% more, you want to use the north side instead of the south side. Like, I don't live in your house. I don't know what your aims are. Like, but I can know that we have software to help us figure out, oh, you don't want it there? Well, let's click it off. Oh, you want one there? Let's do that. Oh, the number that you gave us when you registered is off by $50 because you're a busy mom who didn't have time to go get an accurate number for a fundraiser. Totally understandable. But it will change the number of panels you need, because the number of panels you need is determined by where you live, the type of panels used, and which direction they face with your longitude and latitude, and how shaded they are by your trees. But a really easy calculation.
And hey, so for those of y'all that are on right now, you should have already received that own book pricing that Lester was showing you for your personal design. I just went ahead and sent them out. So if you haven't received it, check your spam, but just want to make sure that y'all know it was sent.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is the type of bracket they use for metal roof. They're called S5 Portilla brackets. You see how it just like clamps in there if you have standing seam. It goes into the roof if you do this. They're just different types of attachments, but your county won't even let us begin until it's properly permitted. And permitted so that it will withstand hurricanes. Now, everybody who lives in Miami knows that there's no such thing as something that's built to withstand a Hurricane Andrew type event. That's what your homeowner's insurance is for. But as far as being engineered for hurricanes, like, do you happen to remember, it's been a while maybe, but do you know what Jim, the standard engineering plans are for solar in Coral Gables? Like 140 or 145 miles per hour they have to be able to withstand. Jim? Oh, you're muted. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I didn't get your question.
Like with Coral Gables, for instance, I know you probably weren't involved with the county planning architecture type stuff, but I thought maybe you might have known what the wind code is. Like if you put solar on, is it 140, 145, or 155?
I think it's like it's around 150, 160. I think it's everything here is really, it's one of the strictest in terms of what they have to withstand. It's way up there.
And so the difference here is like, this is a house in Texas. And so where this house only needs 116 roof attachments, because this part of Texas doesn't get hurricanes. If you lived in Miami, you might need 232. You might need double the number of attachments. Because think about it, if you're standing outside in a hurricane and you don't want to get blown away, you'd attach at more points. You'd wrap around something, you grab something. So that's what you're doing with this, is you're just making sure that you have the number of attachments necessary to keep it on your house during a hurricane. So Fran had to go off. So Fran's gone. Let's see. The rest of the process. Oh, by the way, you also get an app. So if you're wondering, like, how do I know if the things are even doing what I signed up for them to do? At any moment of the day, it shows you how much electricity you're making. And if you enter the numbers in there, it'll show you how much money you're making. A lot of people like that. It's like watching dollars fall out of the sky. They don't know if their retirement account's going to go up or down on any given day, but they know the sun's going to come up. If they're not paying electricity, then it's valuable. And it'll be valuable for the next family as well. Like if the next people buying your house knew that their electricity cost half as much, that makes the house more valuable. That's why you see the home increase. But this part's all up to you. And then how do you want to pay for it? Like some people see it as an investment. And that's what, Jim and all these guys were talking about, is like, what's the crossover point? How many years does it take until I break even on this investment?
Right.
And they haven't really thought about that. Their payoff point for their current electricity bill is infinite, right? There is no, it's a negative 100% ROI. And that's the money that you're using to invest in solar with, is your electricity bill, if you pay zero down and do it that way. But that's up to you. And we can help you understand the pros and cons of each. You can pay for it however you want to. We don't earn money based on trying to convince you to pay for it a certain way with our buddies at a bank. This is a service for communities to help you understand your options. And then the next part is getting the pictures and engineer drawings and permits. If you've ever dealt with an authority having jurisdiction or a homeowners association before, you know that sometimes they can be very pleasant, wonderful humans to work with. And you know that sometimes you can forget to dot an I, and they care a lot about making sure that things are done right. and that's not a bad thing. So, but you just need people that are going to do things with more care, understanding that you have to be prepared. And in a place like Miami, it might take 3 months just for the permit to be approved. So even if you wanted to do it today and you had cash and you're like, Lester, sign me up. I don't want to keep paying an electric bill. Like, let me make electricity from sunlight. It would take from 3 weeks to 4 months, depending on where you live. If you happen to be like our friend in Texas, who doesn't have any type of, if we don't need any permits at all, then it takes about a week to actually ship the stuff and to hire a contractor that can do the job well. But for y'all, it'll take several months. And then you can hire the contractor you want. So if there's somebody in your network who's an electrician, and in Florida, you need to be an official solar installer. It's a different license. But we have people we work with, but we don't earn money for marking that up. This is what the guys get paid. So if you have a brother or a sister, or you're a do-it-yourself type person and you want to save yourself that money, or you like for it to go to somebody else and help us train the next wave of solar installers we're going to need to do the 90 million jobs we're going to have to do in the next couple of decades, they can do this. So when it says contractor choice, that's just to let you know that you have one, but you don't have to be bothered with it. Well, you can totally use the people we use and they'll do a great job, but you have a choice. Then the equipment gets delivered either to your house or to the contractor. The coolest part about this, I think, other than all the environmental stuff I never really talk about on Earth Day, because Earth's going to be fine without people. We just won't be too great without it. So it only takes 1 to 3 days to get it installed. It's not like putting a new kitchen or bathroom in. You got people tromping around in your house for a month. It's like a come get it done, quick job. Value of your property goes up. You're able to start making electricity from solar. You got an app. You got a 25-year warranty. The sun comes up, you're good to go. Sun doesn't come up, you're in trouble. After it's installed, there's 2 inspections. One is from the county to make sure that it was installed according to code that Jim was just talking about, the highest wind factors you can find. Like, we have to use equipment that will do that. And then the second one is from your utility company, so they can give you one of these boxes that counts in both directions, so they can keep track of what they owe you at the end of the months whenever you make more than you use. Mm-hmm. So that's the second inspection, is by the utility company. Once those 2 things happen, your system is activated. And as long as the sun comes up, you're making electricity. So you're taking free sunlight and turning it into valuable electricity, which is a feature for a house for whoever comes next as well. And then as far as the Ovanova rebate goes, that's just because you pay what we pay when it comes to the equipment. So when you get this, everything from here down, this is your worst case scenario pricing, meaning we're willing to say that it won't be more than this, but this is what we paid last time. And when we go out and buy the stuff from a warehouse, prices go up and down. So that's what this is for, is the wiggle room that it takes in case something goes up or down. So it's like, okay, I know that it's a great value even in the worst case scenario, but what usually ends up happening is that we don't spend this because you don't need a main panel upgrade, and you don't need a transformer, and you don't need this, and you don't need that. And so you just get this money back along with any money we can save you when we go out and get bids. So we're like a value added reseller. The value that we add is that we give money to good causes, tell people the truth about solar energy, and make it super easy to transition if you want to, without bugging anybody to do it and giving you a bad experience that would cause you to not want to continue learning about solar in the future somewhere. So that's been all I have to say. I mean, that's how the process works. We got some more pretty pictures of like making it work during an ice storm, which you don't have to worry about in Miami yet. If you live in an HOA that requires you to conform, there's camouflage you could have for your solar panels now. If you want to be like Luke's dad, who was a colonel in the Army, and this is Luke's dad's house. He just went completely off grid because he wanted to be able to have electricity in all circumstances. He didn't get the electromagnetic pulse hardened one though. And you can make a big difference. You know, you're home, and we're working with schools and communities. We'll leave policy up to y'all. I don't like to talk about that. I like to talk about the fact that there's a sunshine in the sky, and Americans are spending $1 billion a day on electricity in order to do this crazy process that we started doing in the late 1800s just to get our electricity. And when technology advances, some things just don't make sense anymore. And we just don't think it really makes sense to blow our planet up when paying rent, whenever you could actually own the ability to make your electricity from sunlight. But even if you never choose to, you're a fellow human. We appreciate the contribution that you've made just by being here and adding to this conversation. You can always watch it again on YouTube, along with a bunch of other ones where some more stuff came up. But I'm here. I don't have anything to do. The fundraiser's been over for 30 minutes. Y'all have been really kind and gracious to listen to me ramble. What other kind of things were you wondering about, or what else can I do to be helpful while I'm here?
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh,
Thanks, Jim.
sorry, Jim.
I got to run, but thank you. Very, very educational. Very good.
Thank you for your leadership in Coral Gables and getting that community off to a green path, Jim. Grateful for you.
Nice.
We believe in solar, so hopefully more people will use it.
Cool. Thank you, brother. We'll talk to you
Thank
soon.
you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right. What are you going to say, Garcias?
I was going to say, we didn't get to see the email. I think you guys were having a hard time verifying our home ownership, but does so it has, I couldn't hardly see, it was too small, but you have all the costs. So if you didn't finance it, or if you wanted to pay it off early or whatever, you have all the costs there. Yes, that page.
Yes, ma'am.
It's shown on the email.
Yep, that's the email that Luke show sent you. So Luke, what's going on?
Okay.
Garcias, did y'all get this email? I know y'all didn't.
I don't know. I have to go in a different room and look.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, it was just verifying homeownership, so that's why we weren't able to send out the proposal.
That's okay.
We sent out this one, so y'all should have
Nope.
this in email.
No problem. We'll look at it.
Yeah, and you have every cost. So let me break this down for you. If you go solar using our service, this is what, if this family does, your number will be different, but it's the same flat fee. That's how much we would earn, which would allow us to give donations to 41 more causes that people care about. We would get to teach 40 more people about solar energy and give away $2,000 because this person chose to use our service to go solar. We also show you what we earn because it usually ends up being a lot cheaper. And so people think that we left something out. But the real deal is what we left out is all the sales commissions, because I didn't have to pay any salesperson to go around to your house. You showed up tonight because you have good hearts, and that lowers the cost for everybody because we can do this on a Zoom. It makes it a lot less expensive.
Well, Master Sergeant told us we had to.
And Master Sergeant tells you have to, then you have to do it.
That's right.
So it's love in your heart or fear in your heart. You made it here without a salesman, one way or the other.
Exactly.
The Sobe moms all love Sobe. You're like, oh, I'm afraid of Will. Master Sergeant Will. I would be too. He's great. So your electrical and building contractors, this is the people that actually do the work. Sometimes people call themselves solar installers, and there are contractors who are solar specific in Florida, but just know that's kind of bogus. There's an electrician and there's a roofer. And if they put solar up before, then they're a solar installer. But it's not a challenging job for a trade, like a craftsperson or a tradesman. It's a good job. So that's what's in there for that. This is what this particular type of panel, which you can read about at the bottom, that we chose just because it's the least expensive. And at the end of 25 years, it's still guaranteed to be making 80% of as much energy as it did the day you put it on your roof. You can use more expensive panels. We can show you charts for how to make a decision about when that makes sense. And it really comes down to, what do you mean by what does making sense mean to you? Do you care to maximize the energy production of every square inch of your roof because you know you're going to end up with 2 Teslas and your roof and your solar panels is going to become your new gas station? Or do you care more about saving money and increasing the value of your home? Most people care more about that, which is why we start out with this, because it's a great option. Those are your panels. If you went with a non-battery option, we would probably use micro inverters. If you want less expensive ways to do that, there are less expensive inverters we can use. We can explain why we made that choice if you'd like to hear it. But that's what turns the DC into AC. Then you've got your racking, wiring, and all the little things, right? Like what actually holds it to your house. Then you've got what it takes to ship that to the location. The stuff is heavy, combining all the wires together. And then this thing called the Imperfect Information Fund, which again is just in case it ends up costing more than we think it does, so we don't have to come back and ask you for more money. And at the end, we'll show you the receipts for everything and then give you a discount. On your battery page, you'll see that we earn the same thing. Project management is $500 more because there's more to manage in a battery project with all the engineering and diagrams. Contractors earn the same, plus $2,000 to put the battery in. 20 kilowatts of storage. You can see that down here, $88.70. It's the same price that we pay. You can go look on the internet for these same batteries and you'll see what kind of value you're receiving. And you'll see things you recognize. You probably heard of Tesla Powerwalls or Generacs, and those are all great systems, but we like to use the one the preppers use. So, we use this thing called a Solar because it allows you to stack as many batteries as you want. And it also allows you to build as you go in case you need some and then you want some more. So you don't get put in the technological corner. And we can spend all the time in the world for you nerds talking about how we made those choices, but that's not your final choice. This is just where we're starting. This is somebody that would need 2 of those because you can only put 40 panels on each of the solar converters if they're 320 watt panels. And I know that I'm confusing people now, so I just need to shut up. There's reasons behind all of this. It's not like just random numbers that we came up with, but it is based on a guess, which is how much electricity you use per month.
Yeah.
And the whole thing was just trying to design with your address and your energy usage, figuring out how many panels it would be. And then once we know that, it's just a matter of putting a number here and then just, it'll change. Oh, we didn't need 49 panels. We actually needed 24. Wow, that changes the price a lot.
Okay.
Oh, actually, we needed 16 panels because we've never had to bill $200 a month. I don't know what my husband was thinking. It's $20 a month. I don't know what your situation is, right? Your situation is your situation. And we're just a service that helps you figure out exactly what your situation is so you can make the best choice for you. That's it.
I have a question, Lester. How has the technology and all, like what you're describing, how has it changed in the past? Is it different from somebody who got solar panels 10 years ago?
No, it's prettier now and it's slightly more efficient. So it's gone from maybe 16% efficiency to, or 19 to 22, some 24. It's really hardcore, but it's just about maxed out. There's some stuff in labs are working on like Perscovite cells, which will increase the efficiency. But right now that material doesn't last long enough to make it part of a residential job. You might use that if you were trying to have a big solar field or something. But as far as this technology, do you know when these solar panels came out? Do you know what year solar panels were invented by any chance?
Are you asking us?
Yeah, I'm asking just randomly if you happen to know what decade solar panels were invented.
Was it 20 years ago?
It was 1954.
Okay.
Isn't that wild that they've been around for that long?
Right.
Yes.
1954. They were invented by Bell Labs as a way to get electricity way out in the country.
Yeah, makes sense.
And the reason I bring that up is because those first ones still work. Solar panels don't have moving pieces, and the technology was the same 50 years ago as it is now. It has gotten better, but the biggest thing is it's just gotten less expensive to make when you have a mile-long factory in China that can crank out the parts. It's the effectiveness and the production of it that's made it affordable. What continues to make it expensive is just a bunch of salespeople and companies that are trying to make as much money from every transaction as they can instead of trying to create the most value for the person who's using the service.
Yeah, or from the USA. You said in China, but you said you can get parts from the USA. You said, right?
Mission, to tell you the truth, I don't know. There's Mission Solar, like the inverter that we use is definitely from the USA. Like this thing called the Solar for the batteries. There are some options down here that say made in the USA, and their websites say made in the USA. But I've also spoken with people who have traveled all over the world and swear that every solar panel, no matter the name on it, is made in the same giant factory in China, but that's more folklorian wives tale stuff. If you're to believe what's said on a website, you can certainly get some American made panels. Mission Solar is what we would recommend. Solaria is kind of American made. Silfab, kind of American made. Mission is American made, which is why you end up paying more for them. But if you wanted them, all you gotta do is click on your thing. It's highly usable. And so this is someone whose monthly payment would go up $15 a month. It would still be less than 200, but their monthly payment would go up $15 a month to use American panels.
Right.
Okay.
Are the efficiency rates the same between the foreign panels and the American panels?
Yeah, I mean, to answer that, it would have to look at the spec sheet, but in this specific example, yeah.
Okay.
But we always defer to, this is what we do. Instead of talking about brands, we like to talk about guaranteed kilowatts.
Right.
So we will look at the panel, then we will look at its actual warranty. This is the one that's guaranteed 80%. These panels work 92% as well at the end of 25 years. This is how many watts they make in an hour of direct sunlight. And then you just figure out total. It might look confusing, but really all we're trying to figure out is how much electricity is each of these panels going to make.
Right.
Over the lifetime of the panel. And then how much does the panel cost? Because this panel is only going to make $1,468 worth of electricity, but it only costs $121. So if you're just looking at your return on investment, this is the panel that you want to choose.
Right.
But if you're looking at, well, no, I want the most electricity. Well, this one will make $1,780 worth of electricity, but the panel costs $255. But even when you subtract out the cost, the value is still higher. So if you're just looking, it depends on how you look at the numbers, right? Are you looking at the raw numbers of how much electricity it makes, and electricity is going to be worth more in the future, and you're thinking ahead 25 years about all the other stuff? Or are you looking at what's the highest return on my investment? And most people care about a return on investment, which is why we start with the least expensive panels. But then we get to know you well enough to figure out, dude, it would be great if there were more solar panels made in America. We try to work with vets whenever we can. There's that whole company is run by vets that do the prepper inverter.
That's good.
Right.
Solar, you can check them out. It's a Texas company.
Okay.
Good questions. What else are y'all wondering about?
Are we the only ones left?
No, I think Fran might have had to jump off. Who else?
Well, I have two more questions actually. What?
And then Tammy's here too, but go ahead.
Okay.
So my one question is, so right now we have a 200 amp service, right? So what do you rate the solar system in amps? So, right. So there's enough to kick on, like you talked about air conditioners, enough amperage to kick on, and that all comes from the inverter. The inverter, does it have a amp output?
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly how it works.
Okay. So is it 200 amp output? Is
You can do it one of two ways. You can either plug it directly if you have space in your box. Then you can plug a breaker directly into the box, and then it just feeds it. It's usually like a 50 amp breaker. And I might have misspoken there because my partner's the technical guy who knows this stuff really well. I'm just trying to make sure I don't say anything that's a lie. But this isn't my wheelhouse.
That's fine.
Or you can do a supply side tap where it doesn't even go into your box and just feeds in before it gets into the house. But it is a 200 amp service that you would need. And if you already have a 200 amp service, what that means is that's an example of something that an imperfect information fund would have been used for. If we give you a quote and then find that out. So that just means congratulations, you crossed one hurdle towards getting back whatever that number is on your design.
Right. So it doesn't borrow the amperage from the grid, like to start your well pump or your anything with a capacitor. It doesn't borrow that and then keeps it running from what your solar does. It can do it directly off your solar.
Yeah, your solar makes more than enough electricity during the day.
Okay.
than you need, but you don't have to worry about lights flickering because it's an instantaneous transfer. So if your solar weren't producing enough, if you had all of your load breakers open, you know, or closed, whatever the right word is, if you're running a whole lot of electricity in the house and your solar isn't enough, you're still connected to the grid and it's seamless.
Right. Okay.
And it just nets out over time. The system is designed looking at a year's worth of usage, not a day's worth of usage.
Right. But the reason for the battery is if you have a power outage, like off the grid.
Oh,
and
not
that,
about without it. Okay. Then yes, they just 63 and a half. It's either 63 and a half or 67 and a half. Luke, do you remember? I think Luke's gone. What you're talking about is the fire hose. The battery is the water tank. The inverter is the fire hose. How big is the fire hose? So what we usually do is create a critical load panel as part of the installation where you pull off the things that you for sure want to have run, like your freezer, for instance, so you don't lose any of the stuff that's in your freezer if y'all have stuff in the freezer. Or
right. We do that now with the generator. So
Yes.
similar. Right.
a generator plugs directly into the inverter. This particular type of inverter has a place for a generator. And so one way you can use your system is you can charge up the battery during the day. You can run your battery at night. And if it goes too low, you can have your generator kick to crank on to give you whatever juice you need to go further with it. It's like a hybrid system. So,
Okay.
but yeah. And I just like, whenever you get bored or you feel like talking to us again, book a time and Jai can get on here with you. And he's just so good technically at answering these questions. To me, amps and volts and watts, I can do the math, but it all sounds like the same word to me. But I do know that I heard him say today that it's either 63 and a half, 67 and a half. That was a new inverter upgrade. It was 50 last year, but I know it'll push it. You can quote me on saying that I know for a fact that the new model will push at least 60 amps.
Oh, good. Okay. And then my other quick question was, if you have like an outbuilding and you want to put the panels on the outbuilding, but you want it to feed, say, both buildings.
Yeah.
So is that just like an underground service from wherever the electronics are?
Yeah, it's just a trench. You just trench it.
Okay.
No problem. Yeah, like you can put it up wherever the heck you want to. You know, the trenching gets pretty expensive pretty quickly, but if it's where you want your panels, it's where you want your panels, right? So that's more important than anything else. It's like, where do you want them? And then this is what the price difference would be, and then you get to choose. It's like, and if you already have in the outbuilding, do you already have like a breaker out there, or is it already
Yeah,
lit?
we have an outbuilding that has separate service. It has separate separate meter. So, but it's probably about 75, 80 feet away from the home. But its alignment to the south. The roof is all aligned north and south. So it would make more sense to put the panels there, keep them off the house.
Right, it would. And depending on the size and total usage, and we'll look at all that stuff together. Like after you have a chance to look over your numbers and you're like, oh wow, I can save however many dollars per month. Guys, if you still owe money on your system, like imagine this: somebody moves into your house and they have a choice to pay $40,000 or $20,000, they're going to pay $20,000, right? That's the difference between a house without solar and a house with solar. And so if you had paid down $5,000 over the next 5 years and you finally get to move, if you owed $15,000 on your solar and there's still 20 years of a warranty left, it's going to make $30,000 worth of electricity. You could price your house anywhere from $15,000 to $29,999 more, and it would still be a value for the person moving in.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then it just goes under their mortgage. You take the extra money, pay off the solar loan, and they're super happy because if you look at what they get to do, so if somebody moved into this house and they got to turn this into like a 30-year loan at like 2.5% or something, then you're looking at turning a $200 bill into a $100 bill for them. So it's $100 a month less to live there for the person who is, moving in. And it could be a great way to actually make money and make sure your house sells faster, no matter what the market's doing in a few years.
It was free up until that point. Yeah.
So in the past 10 years, Lester, what's the percentage increase of people going solar than before?
Oh, that's a good question. I've got a pretty thing somewhere. I haven't put it in the slide deck yet. Let me find it. What did I call that thing? Diligence. I'd rather show you than tell you. There's a thing we're putting together for investors so people can welcome read this. I'm looking for a picture in here. It's like a full page picture and it's got all kinds of numbers. Right here. Here we go. This is what you're looking for. So it says in 2020, solar comprised 43% of all the new generating capacity. In 2020, a new solar project was installed every 75 seconds. 13% of homes will have a solar system by 2030. Solar PV price decline over the past 5 years is 45%, not from the equipment, but just from the efficiencies. There's 2,794,602 solar systems currently installed in the US. 10,000 business, there's like 10,000 solar businesses. So you can go solar anywhere you want to. And then over the past 10 years, to answer your question directly, Ms. Garcia, the average annual growth has been 42%.
Good.
Yeah. And so what we saw is that the only reason people aren't using it, we thought, is because just they had anybody tell them the truth about it, right? Like if your best friend walked up to you and said, and you were about to pay for a meal and you had a 50% off coupon and they handed it to you, you would take it. You'd be like, thanks, you know, and it's really that easy with solar. It just seems a lot more complicated than that. And that's why we work with ROTC and, you know, appreciate all the things y'all do. We believe that people know who are the good guys in their communities. That's not for us to say. And if people are willing to spend their time learning, then we're willing to spend our time talking and teaching.
Yeah, I just think people don't know. I just think they just don't know.
And that's okay. We're busy. Like just think about your day and all the stuff that
I
went
think
through your
people are
head.
too busy. They're too busy watching Netflix, Lester.
You've either not. Yeah, let's be real, right? We can be all idealistic, but people are
Let's be real. Oh, I'm just kidding.
binge watching. You're probably right. What else y'all want to talk about tonight? Anything else on your mind?
I'm good. That was really interesting. I really appreciate all the information.
Yeah. Well, let us know if we can be useful to you. You know how to be in touch, and grateful for showing up to support. And tell Master Sergeant Will I send my love, and looking forward. He's a good example. He had a roof space that would have been perfect for solar, but he said, but there's a tree there. And so it's his wife's favorite tree, and he knows who the boss, he knows who the boss is. So we just moved the solar.
Yes, he does.
we're just gonna move this. So tell him I said hi, and looking forward to talking to him after he talks to the boss.
Thank you, Lester. Have a great night, sir.
Thank y'all, Garcias. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.